How's it going? Hello? Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello and also hello. And
You say
also,
goodbye, I say hello.
you say goodbye. I also say goodbye because
Yeah,
that's how you leave someone.
yeah, great,
You,
cool.
you say goodbye, I say hello, and then you go, what? And I go, oh, sorry, goodbye. What an intro. That might be my favourite intro we've ever
Yeah,
done. What a
brilliant,
stupid turn of events.
brilliant.
Oh, welcome back to a podcast, everyone. How's it been? How have you been, Judd?
How have I been? I've been fine. I haven't done anything. I don't think I've done a single thing since last podcast.
You've literally just sat there. Podcast turned off and you sat
Yeah,
there waiting for the next one to
pretty
happen
much.
again.
I just played World of Warcraft. I don't even have anything to do on World of Warcraft anymore now.
Oh my god, that's a bad game, Judd.
Well, that being said, no, that's not true. I want to unlock this. There's a thing called Allied Races now, where basically, if you play through the story of like Battle for Azeroth, one of the races that you ally with in that you get to unlock as a playable race. Like depending if you did Horde or Alliance, but
I feel
I'm
like
trying to do.
I feel like
Go
in,
on.
in the 2021 landscape, for some reason you shouldn't be allowed to call them races. I feel like somehow you'd get in trouble for that.
Yeah. But the only reason I'm wanting to do the Alliance Allied races and unlock them is because they're literally just fat humans. That's the only difference from them being normal humans is that they're fat. It's awesome, honestly. They're an entire different race of people just because
Fair
they've got
enough.
some fucking pot bellies.
Fair enough, Judd. That does sound
Yeah.
quite fitting for us. I think we'd do well with
Yeah.
that.
I've already got a goblin to max level on it now, so I'm fine with goblins.
Oh, that's all you wanted, really. You just
Yeah,
wanted to be the supreme goblin, just
yeah,
like in
I
real
did.
life.
They call them trade princes on WoW. I wanted to be the ultimate trade prince.
Well, that's kind of your aim in real life as well. So,
Yeah, it actually is as well.
well, let me tell you, I've got some shit to tell you, Judd. But
Okay,
first, have that burp, and let me tell you about what I'm going to tell you about.
go on then.
Very meta. Later on, I've got a very nice, boring segment about voting systems. That's going to be good.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Is it is it
hold
vote
on,
is
Judd.
it
We've got a
voting
special
systems?
guest who's just come through. I
All
think
right,
this
go
is
on.
Dad ringing me. So let's see what happens. Oh, look who this is.
Hello,
Oh, Lord, you are
Hello.
loud. Is he there? Oh,
this is me doing technology. Look at me.
yeah.
I'm like video calling you.
Tell him not to
Well,
say anything racist.
don't say anything too bad, Dad, because currently me and Judd are recording the podcast, hence why I'm sat here like this. But I've answered anyway, and now your voice. That's why I'm holding this speaker too, so that your voice can be heard on the podcast as well.
So this is me doing live technology.
Yeah,
Stuff.
brilliant.
Nice. He's doing live technology.
You being my personal IT expert on call 24/7.
Oh,
I've
nice.
got some technical questions. You want me to ring you when you're not podcasting stuff?
Yes, I'll let you know when we're done.
Okay.
What do you want to say to our millions of not viewers? What do you want to say to the millions of people who don't listen?
For the millions of people, this is being beamed to you live by Jake, but only because of my help, because he really doesn't know technology. So he has to ring
That
me
is true,
all
actually.
the time to tell him how to do these podcast
God.
things, which is why he's coming to you live from Jacob,
Yeah.
thanks to his dad.
Do you know?
Actually,
Just before Dad does go, I'll tell everyone while he's here. I recently had to help Dad put a disc in a computer. Mostly because, to be fair, there was multiple problems. Computers don't have disk trays anymore. But the other thing is, according to him, some old bloke had kept it in a toolbox for about 20 years. So the thing is, I reckon that's probably the main problem with
what,
it.
the disc or the computer?
Either.
So when you ring me back as well, I'll need you to tell me how to turn my television on. I can't find the switch that says on.
Oh, right, fine. The roles are very reversed from back when we needed to get you to get the Wii working on the telly or whatever.
Yeah, when you used to turn up every weekend and ruin everything I'd set up for you, and then I had to rewire everything every time you came again.
I blame you for having a bad system. Anyway, right, I'll let you know when we're done.
Now it's payback time.
Right, okay.
Well, remember when we used to change the bucket and you used to have to super cram your bum? Well, give me another 20 years and you'll be changing mine.
Right, okay.
Brilliant.
No, I won't.
Right, I'll speak to you soon.
Alright, bye.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
I like how
Brilliant.
you're saying bad as if you're saying bad. You're saying bye as if he can hear you as well.
Oh, I thought it could. I
No.
thought it could hear me.
No, but anyway, call from our dad because he had to get a new laptop for work, and I've been trying to help him fucking sort that out. It's literally, how you'd use like a USB drive to move a bunch of files between computers.
Yeah.
Very easy. Even you could do that. And he couldn't do it. Didn't know how to do it. And guess what ended up happening? He's paid me 40 quid to do it for him.
Oh, nice. Brilliant.
Yeah, well, I didn't ask for that much, but you know what he's like.
Yeah.
He likes to wave his cock around, and that's
does actually.
physical.
I've seen him-
That's
I've
like
seen him do it.
literal and metaphorical, actually. That.
Yeah.
What was I saying anyway? Yeah, this is some of the stuff that's coming up. I've got a boring voting system segment, which is going to be. I actually find it incredibly interesting. Stick around for that. I went out for drinks because you're allowed to do that. I've got. These are some. One of these that I've written down. This next one, I can't remember what it was, so I've had to message Jasmine about it. It says, it's a story about my girlfriend Jasmine. Jasmine chewing gum at Retrodome.
Right.
Oh, I just remembered it. I remembered it. It's actually a really good story. And then another one is about Jasmine getting drunk the other night. But before that, Judd, have you got anything to tell me? Have I done this already? Have you got anything else?
No, I've got nothing to tell. I've got a cool new model that I bought and built, but that only you're going to be able to see because we're on a podcast. And it's not a visual medium.
So the other thing is...
Oh, look, it does look pretty cool, actually. It's probably my favourite model I've ever built.
Quite cool. You have shown me that one
Yeah.
already, I think.
It looks fucking awesome.
It's a big wingman. It's a Balrog.
Yeah.
It's a Balrog. Go on,
Go
on, Judd. That's a Balrog right there. I've seen one of them's before. I watched that man with his ring. I've seen one of them's before. That's a
I've seen that
Balrog.
man with his ring as well.
Yeah.
There is. You can actually buy a Balrog because they do Lord of the Rings stuff as well, don't they?
Mm.
But yeah, you can buy a Balrog. A lot of people buy it to like use for spare bits in Warhammer.
Yep. Dude.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Oh God, don't. What?
I'll sandwich the stories about my girlfriend in between one around an exciting thing to tell you about. So.
Oh, I'd like to sandwich between your girlfriend as well.
And I know who wouldn't. Am I right? There's an arcade in our town that's not open yet because of lockdown restrictions. Yes. But we really like it, and you told me about it. It's very good. It's like you pay a fee and you can just be in it all day, and it's open while like 11 at night. So it's open like 11 a.m. while 11 p.m. So you could pay £10, which kind of feels like a lot to start with, maybe. But then you can play all those games, spend all your day in there. For 12 hours if you want. You can just spend all day in there, and it's a fairly nice place to be, and they've got so many cool old school games, and you don't pay £10 and then have to pay per machine. You can play as, it's free per machine.
Yeah.
As long as you pay your entrance fee, isn't it? Great, love it. And it's also a bar. It's also, you can also buy drinks there and get drunk and everything. It's brilliant. Right next door, there's a Papa John's. It's great.
Yep,
Retrodome.
right next door.
Retrodome in Barnsley. What a place. Shout out to Retrodome. If Retrodome wanted to sponsor the podcast, I would be so happy with that. I love Retrodome. If they give us like half price or whatever to shout them out for like 10 podcasts straight, I would love that. But they're so good. But this story is not to do with how good they are, gonna be honest.
All right, okay.
One time, me, you, and my girlfriend went And we'd spent a good amount of time there, and we'd got a little bit drunk, not very much, and we wanted to get pizza next door at the Papa John's. So we said to him, "Are we all right to bring the pizza in and eat it on some of these sofas that's in the sort of bar area bit, not near the machines or anything like that?" And they said, "Yeah, that's all right. We're hoping to like at some point get our own food and kind of kitchen sorted, but until then, that's all right." So we did that. Well, we said we were going to do that, but then we went to play some games for a second first, and so then Jasmine goes down to get a drink, but she had some chewing gum. So she wanted to like throw it in a bin somewhere, and she said to the guy behind the bar. Now I don't know if this is who was owning it or whoever was just behind the bar at the time. "Oh, have you got somewhere I can put my chewing gum?" And he just held out his hand.
Oh my god!
I know.
Fucking hell!
I remember, like, what the fuck?
You can't do that. You can't do that, can you?
Like, that's really weird. And I don't know why.
Just spit into my hand. Just spit your chewing gum out into my hand.
It's gross. This is before COVID times. So
I would have said to him no.
Yeah, well, she said.
What?
I think she, from what she's told me, I think she said no. I'm all right. It just didn't bother. But
good God,
she told me, and I don't feel like this happened, but that when we then went out to get the pizzas, you confronted this bloke and said, "Did you want her to spit chewing gum in your hand?"
I probably did. I probably sorted right up to him and said, "Did you just fucking..."
Yeah, not like confronting him like, "What, you being a fucking weirdo, mate?" It was more like, "Did you do this? Wow, that's so weird."
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You can't fucking get..."
Yeah, that's so weird, dude. What's wrong with you?
Into your hand? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know where the chewing gum went, but I don't know. I just thought that was a funny story to bring back up on the podcast. It's such a good place. I can't wait to be able to have more stuff like that opened up. But to be honest, I'm surprised it's not already. I think it's because it's kind of classed as a leisure experience thing. Because currently, bars. No. The reason why it's not open is bars and pubs can serve alcohol so long as it's not drunk inside. You can take it outside. Or it might even have to be served outside.
Take it outside then.
Yeah, so it's got to be outside. But that place we were on about doesn't have an outside. But have you? You said you've been out in beer gardens and things like that already, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Well,
yeah, I've had a few drinks already.
And where you've been, is it table service? Do they come and take your orders and?
Yeah. It's table service.
I hate that. I hate it.
Why?
It's so boring and so annoying. And because it's like everything's just opened up again, it's busy. So like it takes forever. You can't go to a bar and get drunk yet. You still can't do that. It's just not possible. Unless you make a massive, unless you order like 20 drinks in one go and just leave them there while you get through them.
Yeah.
But it's just not happening, so I'm just not bothered. But having said that, I did go out for a couple pints because, a bit of kind of, everything's open, let's just have a, celebratory couple pints.
Yeah.
We actually went to a place with like a rooftop beer garden thing. Which is pretty cool for where we live. We went there, and what I found very weird is, if you went out on a night out, at night out around the town, night out, in a bunch of bars and a bar crawl, clubbing maybe.
Yeah.
In the toilets of these places, there's a
now you're speaking my language.
There's a certain feature. I hesitate to call them a feature because it's a human.
Bagheads.
No. It's the toilet. The toilet.
No,
guy.
I know the toilet man.
The toilet man who's like, pretty ladies are out there. Spray. You want to spray? You got to smell nice.
You just taking a big poo. You have stinky butthole. You must have your butthole washed by me, the toilet man.
No, he doesn't wash your butthole. He just sprays you a lot.
Sprays your butthole.
Too much with perfume. But thing is, you know what? Quite often on a night out, I think, you know what? I would like a spray of this nice perfume.
I always go to him. You know what?
I actually
always
quite like a toilet man. I think most people don't because they don't. It's annoying. They just want to go and piss and like wash their hands and like it's like a thing.
It's also quite a weird thing in context
in the
isn't it? It's
toilet.
like this guy that just hangs around in the toilet all day and then he sprays stuff on you.
Yeah, but where we would normally go on a night out, there's a certain sort of street. It's probably not the ones you're thinking of, Judd, but there is a certain street where there's a toilet man that I recognise. He's a very dark-skinned guy, but he's got very distinct face. Like I remember him. He's a specific toilet man that I remember.
Do you think they hate their lives because that's what they're known as, the toilet
they don't
men?
seem like it. They're always very jolly. Well, at least this one is. The guy who I remember, he's always very jolly, like from what I can remember. But my favourite thing, Judd, when I went for those drinks, guess who was waiting in the toilet? They still had the toilet man. We're in a pandemic, but you're not allowed to open the bars without the toilet man being there. And
that's what Boris said to him. He said, "You are not allowed to open up if Boss Man isn't there, giving you some Hugo Boss when you come out for a shit." That's what he said.
The best thing about it was though he'd been promoted to like making sure you wash your hands. You came out of the toilet, it's like wash. Here, have this. You have to wash your hands. Here's paper towels. And then he was like, "But you want to spray? Spray after you wash your hands." It's like, I love it. Toilet Man was still there with his selection of aromas, even though he just holds up the cheapest one and sprays you with that.
Nice.
And I'm good with it. It's great. Sometimes back in the back before the COVID times, I would actually peruse his selection and say, "Oh, good sir, may I have some of this one?" I used to love that. It's sort of part of the whole experience. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So yeah, I thought that was a very fun element of going out on nights out. Hold on. I remember things. I just asked Jasmine about the chewing gum story. Oh, so right. Moving on, we're blazing through topics on this podcast, but speaking of Jasmine, moving on to the premiere story of today's podcast.
Okay.
How many times, Judd, have you thrown up from drinking?
God.
Like an estimate.
I'd say
I know
least,
it's too many to count for you.
20-something times at least.
Well, when we went out on your 18th birthday night out, it was around 3. Just on that night out.
Yeah.
So I reckon you've thrown up like 40 times before.
Yeah, probably. I'd say that's a fair amount, 40 times.
For me, I again, it is too much for me to count, but it's much less than that. I am quite certain that I'm still only in single digits throwing up from drinking. That's including.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Why?
I just don't believe that. I just feel like you've done enough drinking for it to be in doubles.
Well, I have, but I've always like really been able to handle my alcohol like a lot. Even when I first started drinking at 14, legally I first started drinking at 18. But
yeah,
come on. So even like then, even when I started, then the first time I'd ever been sick from drinking was when I was 17. That was the first time ever. So, I mean, I'm 24 now. Fucking hell, I'm old. But, the older I'm getting, like, the more I can handle it anyway, so the less times I've thrown up. The times I've thrown up, like, most has been when I eat loads. I'll get drunk and I'll be like, 12 pizzas. And then I'll just throw up from eating too much food. So even if I'm counting those, though, it might be just over 10 if I'm being generous. But I think it's still under 10. But do you know who has definitely thrown up from drinking recently?
Go on. It's Jasmine.
It's Jasmine. And we were just sometimes we like to have like what we call have a party out at the weekend, but it's just the two of us getting drunk and like we might play some music and dance about, or
Yeah.
I don't know, watch something, or I don't know. And we'd ordered pizzas, and she'd only eaten half of hers, and we'd sung some karaoke or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had drunk nearly a full, like, 70. What is it? Not quite a litre, the 700 centilitre bottle.
Yeah.
I'm drunk basically a full one of those. So I should have been quite drunk, but I wasn't really that drunk. Jasmine, however, had drunken half a bottle of gin and a bit. Like, I guess slightly over half a bottle, which is a lot for her. And she got very drunk.
Yeah.
A bit more drunk than me, but we did go to bed like a kind of reasonable hour, and she didn't seem like a massive state. She weren't like passed out or anything. She like went to bed, like got herself ready for bed and stuff. But in the middle of the night, or should I say the early hours of the morning, at about 3 a.m. She like sat up. And, like, I think in a drunken state, she thought that she was saying something. She thought she'd said something.
She thought she was under attack, did she? Did she think she was under attack?
No. Well, she sat up and made, like, a noise, like a grunt noise. Like a grunting noise. So I thought she was just, like, wanting some water at the side of the bed, because we've always got water to drink at the side of the bed. So I passed her this cup of water. Like it's like those Starbucks, the plastic Starbucks cups with the straws in.
Yeah,
they're quite big. Like they're kind of like a pint, but a wide pint glass. If you know what that. They're like those with a lid on, but a straw that goes through the lid. And I passed her that, and I expected her to just like sip on the straw and drink that, but she took the lid off. Now. Okay. I was sober enough to realise she's getting ready to throw up in this cup. And I immediately got on the edge of the bed and went, "You can't be sicking that, it's full." And it was. It was full of water.
No.
But because she was so drunk, she just didn't even try and stop herself and just threw up, and this thing spilt all over her hands. And it was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
God.
And the thing is, it doesn't even end there. So I took this cup off her and put it on the side, still full of sick. And then immediately, hanging over, like, there's like a sort of kitchen cabinet thing in this room. Hanging over the door handles of there's a carrier bag with a bit of rubbish in it. It's just kind of a bit of cardboard and stuff. Yeah. Not much in it, though. So I took that off there and handed it to her straight away. And I don't know why. This is similar to another thing to when I was when you were drunk that one time and I was trying to give you cups of water and you just kept pouring them down yourself. It was similar to then. I put this bag right in front of her. Rather than making an effort to open it with both her hands, she kind of just casually slapped on the bag and threw up on the bag. Not in it, on the bag. And this is, nice. Bear in mind, this is not staying anywhere. It's going all over the bed as well, obviously. Yeah. But then, and between those two, she'd thrown up directly on the bed.
Nice.
So, then I kind of tweezed the bag open a bit, and the last 6 she did in the bag. So 3 out of 4 were misses. But, there we go. And after she'd done that, I was sat on edge of the bed, almost in disbelief, because I didn't think she was that bad at all.
Yeah.
After she'd done that, she'd kind of become conscious again. And she was saying, "I'm sorry." Saying, "I'm sorry." She goes to me, "Can I have me water?" Because she didn't realise she'd thrown up in it. And I said, "Oh, what, you mean that water?" And showed her. And I go, "It's full of sick." She's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Oh dear. And it was fine because I just took her into the living room and we slept on the sofa.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I didn't help clean it up in the morning. That was her job.
No. You wouldn't do, would you?
See, the last time that someone felt sick in when we were doing that in Jasmine's room, it was me. But I wasn't that stupid and sat up and went, I need to be sick. I need a bag. Quick, get me a bag.
Yeah.
And she did. And I was sick in the bag and it was all fine and it didn't go anywhere.
Nice.
But I don't know. It's one of the few times I've had to deal with people being sick like that.
It reminds me of a time when I was out with my mates Tom and Jack, and we're in this pub in, I think it was like Leeds or Sheffield, and it was just towards the end of the night, and we're all steaming, and I didn't want to finish my last pint, and Tom were going, "Fucking drink it, go and drink it." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna be sick, no more." so he picks it up and downs it, and then just immediately throws back up in that same glass. And this girl came over. She weren't fucking happy. She went. Oh, fucking thanks for that then. And Tom was like, I'm sorry. So we had to leave immediately.
Well, you would just like kind of throw it outside, wouldn't you? And then there'd be barely anything left in it, and then just rinse it out. It's not too bad. They should be thanking them that they did it in the glass and not like all over the floor.
Yeah.
Another time I remember that happening, like someone throwing up in a glass, was I used to work in this pub. I don't know if it's still there anymore. It was called the Miller's Arms, I think. Yeah. We used to just call it the Miller's, I don't know. So I used to work there, just, waiter boy type of stuff. Yeah. Like when they had Sunday food on, I would go and sort the meal, give them the meals, take the plates, wash up, that sort of thing. So I worked there, and a few of my friends wanted to meet up at a pub and get some drinks, and the most convenient one for us all happened to be the Miller's, which wasn't great for me because I had to go somewhere where I worked, so I couldn't get too silly. But who could get silly? Everyone else.
Your friends,
So they all got like trashed and were being really loud and like acting up. And I was all right with it until a certain point, and there was one point, and it just got a bit much. I said to him, just calm down a little bit, cause like I do work here, my boss is right over there. And like I think it was two girls, 2 guys, including me. So they calmed down a bit, and I thought, you know what, this is all right now. And just as I thought it was all right, the most sensible girl, who seemed the most sober, just went, right into a pint glass.
Oh, God.
And I was like, okay, I think we're done here.
What is it with people just throwing up into the fucking pint glasses? They just go, no, hold on, I didn't want all this beer. Here, have it back.
I can't believe it. It was so stupid. I was like, right, we're finally on top of things. We can have a fun time.
No, it's not happening. It never happens.
It weren't like, sometimes when you throw up, it's kind of like it's kind of few seconds. Well, she threw it all at once into the pint glass. It was just like gush right in there. Yeah. Oh God, that's funny. And now 2 of those people who all went out like that are now together and have been for a long time.
Oh, nice.
So,
good.
Yeah, it didn't put the other person off.
No, good.
Maybe it should have. Probably not, because family is very rich. I'm not saying that's why they got together. Not saying they're a gold digger.
It's probably the reason why they got together.
No, it isn't. I know it isn't, but it's a funny joke anyway. Right. Now that all the normies, now that all those fuckers have fucked off, now that all the normal listeners who like to listen to the funny ha-ha stories and that, now they're all gone.
Now they're all gone. It's time to talk about fucking Excel spreadsheets.
No, not this time. Not yet. That's after the podcast, because I do have some important spreadsheet updates for you, Jude.
Oh, Christ. Right,
okay. Even worse, probably for you.
Worse? Why? Yeah. Why is it worse for me?
Judd, when you vote in an election...
No.
You have before, I remember you telling me it.
I have, yeah. I felt it in the last general election.
How do you feel when the votes are tallied And
honestly, I could not give a fuck because I absolutely consider myself politically homeless, so I just don't care.
Well, I'm glad you care a lot about the injustice of that, then, Judd. Because I'm here to tell you about this video series I watched that's enlightened me.
Okay.
I already knew there was... So, basically, I watched this sort of series called Politics in the Animal Kingdom. It's by CGP Grey. Great channel. It's not about politics in the animal kingdom. It's about politics in the real world, but they use like animals and stuff to kind of represent parties and things. Makes it easy to understand. And it kind of shows a big problem with some of the voting systems that the biggest countries in the world uses, which I knew already of the problem. I didn't know the extent of the problem, which these videos told me. But the best thing about it is that burp. That's the best thing about it.
That is the best thing about it, yeah.
No, the best thing about it is that it comes up with a solution. So, you know, like sometimes you'll have these like educational videos. It's like, here's why, you know, this thing is bad and doesn't even work. And then, like, it's like, oh, well, that's shit then. Well, this one is like, yeah, here's how we could actually fix this massive major world problem. No one will, but, like, here's how we could do it. It is possible. Which is good. So, Judd, did you like that smack?
I did, yeah.
Let me tell you. In the voting system, right, for our country, Great Britain, well, our country's England, but, you know, for Great Britain... And
for Great Britain,
also, for probably, well, not probably, the biggest country in the Western world, America, I believe.
Yeah.
The voting system works thusly. Do you like my word?
Thusly, yeah, I like thusly.
I like Lustley. I like Lustley.
I like
too.
Lustley.
Solid bloke, Lustley, actually.
Nice lad.
So the way it works is you tootle yourself off this as you walk into the polling station. This is what you do.
I'm walking down. I'm making my way down.
You go over there.
Oh, I think I'm going to vote for Labour today. Ooh. That's me heading down.
Then you go into the little booth thing. You get your pencil because they're not allowed pens for some reason.
Yeah. Ooh, pens spread COVID. Oh, goodness.
But not pencils.
Not pencils.
And you check your box for what local representative you want.
Yeah.
Then they decide what your area, you know, they tally up the votes for that area, and whichever, you know, candidate got the most votes, that area will be that party. So, you know, let's use colours. So our area, you know, you might get our area being the red party. That's a little, actually, real world kind of truth right there, because the party that the area we live in is coloured red. They're not called the Red Party, but
they're called the Red Pie because they're a bunch of dirty fucking communists.
And then, like, you know, some down south might be blue parties. You might get some that could be a green party. Very rare though, because of the system that we're going to describe. So that's how it works, right? And then which out of all the areas, whichever has the most of a certain colour, that's the one that's in control. Okay? That's the party. How fair do you think that is? Like, not bear in mind, I'm obviously framing it as if this is the bad one, and it is, but how fair did you feel that system is?
I don't think it's fair. I don't think any of it's fair.
Why is that?
I think there was a lot of stuff going around last time of, like, when apparently people who were voting specific parties in certain towns, just their votes weren't getting tallied.
Right, so you're more talking about, like, some corruption of people trying to not count votes and things like that.
Yeah.
Not the actual system itself, just people being criminals, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but the system itself, the way that system itself works, if that idea did work without, you know, people trying to take votes out or whatever, if that idea, you know, was played out how it's supposed to, like that, do you think that's fair? You're allowed to say yes.
Well, if it all worked as it was supposed to, then yeah, but...
Here's why you're wrong. So... Oh, you know what I can do, Judd? I'll get you up the graphs on. I'll get you up the.
Oh, for fuck's sake! No, honestly, I'm not. I'm not too interested. I'm
Judd,
not that bothered.
I'm doing it. It's too late. I already started typing. So you should. I'm gonna link. I should show you this. I should share this fucking playlist of videos with you.
Okay.
God, your name is horrid on. So here is so I'm showing Judd a projection of votes now. If we use these animals that CGP Grey uses in his videos, sorry, I'm almost straight up ripping it off of his videos. Turtle gets 9% of the votes. Monkey gets 18. Gorilla gets 19 percentage. Owl gets 13%. Leopard gets 20%. Tiger gets 15%, and snake gets 6%. So the winner is leopard with 20%. And that's the problem. Only 20% of the country wanted leopard.
I see.
80% of the country is being represented by someone that they don't want. So that's why that doesn't work. So the fix for that is basically, and there's multiple problems with this. The first one is, obviously, the representation's wrong, right? The second problem is, it always leads to a two-party system. Right, as we see in our country, it's Labour and Conservative, kind of at the minute, but there's a little asterisk on that I'll get to later.
Yeah.
But more importantly, America, Democrats and what's the other one?
It's Democrats and fucking hell,
Republicans.
Yeah.
Your Trumps and your Bidens. So the reason is because the bottom candidates who. They're just not getting enough to justify spending money on their campaigns. They drop out because they can't. They can't. They're not going to win. They can't. There's no point. So everyone who did vote for those has got to vote for a smaller amount of people. So that's what happens, and then you get an outlook like this that I'm showing Judd. You know, two people dropped out. So then you got that happens until there's only two parties left. And sort of centrist voters who are not sure who to vote each time kind of sway it either way, and it kind of flip-flops just slightly, and you end up with one party getting 51% of the vote one time, and then another party getting 51% of the vote the next term, and that just happens forever with this system, and that's terrible, because then, again, like... And bear in mind, the intentions of the voters initially haven't changed, so even though someone's had 50% of the vote, you might think, well, they're representing half of the people. Well, no, they're not, because if all the candidates were running in the first place, they wouldn't have got 51%. We can see that by the initial first votes, where Turtle got 9% and all that sort of thing. So it's still, even when you have two-party races, even when it narrows down to that, you're still only getting 20%-ish. If that's only if there's 5 parties, by the way. If there's 20 parties, this gets even worse, right? The other thing is, it's susceptible to gerrymandering.
Fucking gerrymanderous, yes.
Fucking yes. It's susceptible to Jerry from Rick and Morty, and no one likes that guy. Okay?
Nobody. I don't know a single person that likes Jerry from Rick and Morty.
You know what? And Jerry, right, is a big owl, isn't he, Judd?
Yes.
Yep. See, and this is why, right? We're gonna gerrymander him. So here, right, we've got. Imagine you have 3 leopard voters, 4 owl voters, and 3 gorilla voters.
Yeah.
Depending how they're laid out, depending where they are geographically, you can set the boundaries of areas so that leopard voters outnumber owl voters and gorilla voters outnumber owl voters. Even though there's more owl voters in total, can you see that on this representation?
I can see that.
So that means that a party that could get the most votes total, even if they have the most votes, you know, they'll still be, you know, not representing a good part of the country. Yeah. But even if they had the most votes, they could still not get in power. So you might get the party with the 3rd most votes being the one that wins in an election, which is terrible. The other problem is the spoiler effect, which is what's happening in our country right now. Say you have a 2-party race, okay? And you have one leftist party, one rightist party, and it looks like the right party is going to win 55% of the votes, and the left is going to get 45%.
Yeah.
What could happen is another right-wing party might be like, right, we want to crack at this, we're going to have a good go, and they get 15% of the votes. Those 15% of the votes are going to be taken from the right-wing party. So that means left-wing party gets 45 still, right? The first right-wing party now gets 40% of the votes, and the second right-wing party gets 15, as we've said. So the winner is the left-wing party, even though more of the votes come from right-wing parties. More people want a right-wing government, but a left-wing party gets in because of this first-past-the-post bollocks, and it's just terrible. So that's why our country, England and Ireland and whatever we are, Great Britain, has a bad voting system. Very terrible.
Yes.
And so does America. They basically have the exact same system as well. The big problem is whoever's in power has got there through this system and can keep manipulating it to get in power quite often, so they're never going to change it.
Yeah, exactly.
But Judd, listen to me right now, and let me tell you of a system that is much better. It's called the Single Transferable Vote System. Now, the main crux of this...
This sounds like a cult. Is this a cult?
Do you want it to be? I mean, I can invite you to a cult too. We could find one of those.
Oh,
later
you know what? I think you should tell them about this system while I go shit my guts out. I think that's what you should do.
Nah, I'll wait for Judd to get back. The whole point of this is so I can bore him.
Oh shit!
Look, let me tell you, right? This system is the best. It's so good. It solves every single problem. I'm sure. I'm sure it doesn't actually in practice. But it is insanely better. I'm sure Judd will not even register what I'm talking about to the point of being able to ask any questions. But yeah, whatever. Also, I am really needing a piss now during this point of the podcast, so I'm holding that in good. I'm holding it in good. Yeah. I'm wondering how long Judd's going to take to shit. Last time it was a while. Also, last time we reported the quality of Judd's shit. I made sure he sent me a message on what it was like to do his turd after the podcast, and we tweeted that out at TweetsBadly on Twitter. So if you want very interesting updates on the podcast and the stream, such as that, follow at TweetsBadly on Twitter. But speaking of which, if you wouldn't have to follow that, you wouldn't have to wait for those updates if you followed us on twitch.tv/gamesbadly, which is where we stream this podcast live, and you can see our beautiful faces. You can see the fact that currently I am itching my nose because it is very itchy. And but don't worry, don't sweat it. If you do miss it, but you still want to see these pretty mugs, you can go to the Games Badly YouTube channel too, where they get re-uploaded there. But I know you're busy. I know you've got a busy lifestyle, you know. I know you drive that truck like 20 hours a day. It's that lorry. You got to get those items to their destination. I know it's you. I know you're the one who's listening to this that does that. I hear you. I know you can't be looking at us while you're driving. Well, that's fine, because you can listen to the audio-only version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Music, whatever it is. All the good streaming platforms, it's there. By the way, I've not plugged this in a while, but we have some merch, or at least I do. In the description of every podcast and video, and I think just the audio versions, I did some like weird designs, and you can buy t-shirts and stickers and bed sheets and all sorts of shit like that. I did some weird stuff like designs for those sorts of things, and you can get those. At the link in the description as well. Just pretty good. Pretty good. Maybe I'll do some more designs like that in the future. Jesus Christ, how long is Judd taking to shit? Right, I'm drinking beer currently while this is happening, and it's giving me big bad gas. I've had a message from my girlfriend. Oh my god, there's a new Netflix trash show. We do like some good trash TV. It's called Marriage or Mortgage. I think she's literally typed this out from like the Wikipedia description. It's called Marriage or Mortgage, that sees couples decide whether to spend their savings on a wedding or a house. That sounds like right up street. Do you know what? We've said recently that we should do a tier list of like UK daytime trash TV shows, because we've been watching The Circle. I know that's not daytime, but like maybe not daytime, then maybe just trash, TV shows, reality stuff. We've been watching The Circle recently, the UK version. I know a new series of the US version happened as well, and we will watch that. But some of our favourites are Grand Designs, My £600 Life, and I think Botched is probably the favourite, but those are like the top 3. Oh God, good. He's back. It's a good job I'm good at waffling, Judd, because I've managed to entertain everyone for so long that I've saved the whole political system for you. That's great, isn't it?
Oh, great. He's done. We saved it, did we?
Yeah, we saved it for you. So,
Nice.
Right, here's the crux of it, Judd.
I just wanted to say really quickly as well. I just saw a video on Facebook, and you know who Count Binface is, don't you?
Yeah, he's one of the third-party candidates that people waste their vote on.
Yeah, one of like the retards who walks around with a bin on his head, and he's just designed for you to throw your vote away.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, imagine being put on like a panel of like people talking like about issues, and you get sat next to fucking Lord Binface. Like, wouldn't you feel like a right cunt? Because it's like, well, I'm here with him. I'm just up on stage with all the other third party retards that nobody's gonna give a shit about. So they sat me next to fucking Lord Binface.
Well, the reason that happens is because of that shitty voting system that I've told you about. That's genuinely the whole reason that happens. But if we adopted the single transferable vote system, as I'm about to try and convince you of, Judd, please join the Communist Party. Please join the Communist Party. Then I'm
not a communist.
No, this isn't communist either. This thing it's just a different voting system. It's democratic. So here's the thing, Judd. Gerrymandering. Jerry from Rick and Morty.
Jerry from Rick and Morty.
We don't like it, do we? We don't like it. So, the way you fix that, alright, is rather than having one representative per area, make your areas 3 times as big. Well, probably not 3 times, but make your areas much bigger and have multiple representatives per area.
Yeah.
Okay? Rather than us having one MP for like South Yorkshire, West Yorkshire, whatever Lancashire has, then rather so we're in Yorkshire, aren't we? We're in part of Yorkshire, north, south, east, west. We're in one of them. So rather than it being separated,
we are in one of them.
North, south, east, and west. It'd just be Yorkshire, just Yorkshire, straight up. Yorkshire is just one area, right?
Yeah.
And you'd have multiple representatives from Yorkshire, right? And the way that's decided is, rather than ticking, I want that one, right? You rank the representatives. So if there's 5 representatives, say, you would put a number 1 next to your top rank, a number 2 next to the next rank, and so on, for as long as you care to do, because at a certain point, you'll probably not give a shit as to, who's next. So you might only do your top 3, and out of the last 2, you don't care. They're equally as bad. So the reason why you would do that is you would end up with a more representative, a better spread of representation compared to who's voted. So what would happen is you take normally it's done in the amount of votes divided by how many candidates that you're going to put towards Parliament, but for ease of demonstrating, percentage of the votes is easier to say. So say you're going to send 4 representatives from those areas. If we use Yorkshire as an example, so that's 4 areas combined into 1, so you'll have 4 representatives rather than 1. So you would take 100% of the votes, divide it by 4, and that's how many percent of the votes a candidate would have to get to be sent up. Now, one of those candidates might have got 25% of the votes straight away. Cool, they're off to Parliament. They're off to go decide laws for us, right? Then, what we would do is, you'd look at how many more than the threshold they had.
Yeah.
Okay? Say they had like 4% more than 25. Say they had 29%. The 4% that's left over, you would then look at every one of those votes and see who their second choice is.
Yeah.
And distribute all those votes out to the second choice. Okay?
Right.
Then that would bring people up. It might bring someone else to 25%, so someone else has gone to Parliament. Okay? Then you would look at the loser, get rid of them, and put their get rid of them all the votes that they did have. You'd look at their second choice, and again distribute it among anyone who's not got sent off to Parliament, to the point where you get as many people over the threshold as you can, and then whoever's left, they get sent. Because they're the next most representative. This is quite like, without visuals and things like that, it's hard to kind of say, but the main thing of it is it's obviously way better. Even without seeing the visuals, you can tell that that's going to be way better, because then the percentages of people that's voting on the laws and making up the councils and that is way, way, way more representative of the votes. So also, you might be saying, right, well, who's the party that would be in power? It would be the party with the most representatives in the Parliament.
Yeah.
Because that's fine then, because with the system we've got now, if you've got the most representatives in Parliament, you might not have the most votes from people by a long way. But if you did that system, you would have to have the most proportional amount of votes. But also, not only, you would be in power then, and you would have had the most proportional amount of votes. But you'd also be challenged enough by other representatives of people who deserve to be represented proportionally.
Yeah.
So look at that. Solved it. We've solved politics.
We did it.
That's the full thing. And do you know what the weird thing is about it? You could, like, you joke and say, oh, just like, don't leave something on standby. Global warming solved. You know how that's kind of a joke. Well, with what I'm saying, it's not really a joke. It's like that genuinely would solve politics massively, because something my mum was saying when I showed this to her was that it's not like to do with this so much, but it just made her think about something. Is that she thinks that, as with a lot of people, she's sick of these bloody politicians. All they do is lie. All they do, they don't do whatever they say, and they're not wrong. So she was saying, if they make a promise that they're going to do something, they should be held accountable for that and have big consequences if they don't do it. Like they should be potentially booted out, for example, if they don't hold up one of their, promises in their campaign. Yeah. But the thing is, that doesn't work. Like, you can't do that, because because you can't predict the future. You can't predict the future. For starters, if you look at what political parties actually promise, their actual legally binding promises and stuff from the manifesto and things like that, they never say they're going to, like, say a politician comes up and goes, I'm going to give everyone $1 billion, everyone gets $1 billion. That's not true. And then you'd look at the manifesto and it doesn't say that at all. And at most, they might say, we will do our best to try and aim to give everyone $1 billion. So, which doesn't mean anything. That basically means that'd be cool if everyone had $1 billion.
Yeah.
And that's it. But that's fine, because that's the bit that, like, means something. So, so the thing is, she was saying that, well, they should, have to make measurable promises, and be kept to them. So, for example, we're going to raise the minimum wage to £10 an hour, which is something that a politician in our country recently genuinely did want to do. But they can't promise that. They can't, because you don't know what the future's going to hold. Yeah. So you can't promise something if you're going to be held massively accountable for it when it comes to something as significant as that. And a perfect example of it is COVID. As in, like, for example, if the party that's in power in our country at the minute, if the government said, right, we're going to put an extra £10 million into educational spending in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah? COVID obviously breaks out, and they've not done that, right? They don't do that. They go, oh, we can't do that. We have to spend it on NHS and things like that instead, right?
Yeah.
They've not held up that promise. They'd get booted out. But they also did the right thing.
Yeah.
You know? So you can't hold people accountable for that. So the argument to that was, well, you'd have to account for natural disasters and things, acts of God and things like that. Well, where do you draw the line? You can't. It has to be a definitive line. Like, who's to say? Someone might say, oh, well, I still think they should have managed to spend 10 million on education. Another person said, oh, no, it's perfectly reasonable. So, what, do we have a vote? Do we have a massive vote and waste a bunch of money on that in time? No, you can't. So you can't hold people accountable in that way. The way you make people do the right thing and make good systems, make good decisions, is by having the good voting system in place to make sure the party's the best party. Because if the party goes in place with a good voting system and they fuck up and don't hold all their promises, the next time it comes to an election, they can't fudge the areas and all of that shit to get in again, because we've got a fair voting system where the people all boot them out. So even for holding politicians and political parties accountable, changing the voting system is the best thing to do. Vote for me for president 2029. Make me the one to do it. I'm wearing a Dragon Ball Z t-shirt right now. You won't trust the guy who would do that, right? So let me do that, and I'll just I'll say, right, oi, all you lot, do it this way, right?
Yeah.
Now fuck off, and it'll all be sorted, everyone.
That's your thing, is it?
Yep.
I'll do it. Okay.
Thanks for your time. Will you do a campaign video for me, Judd? I think you should do one of those things where it's like, I'm voting for something because of such and such and blah blah blah. Yeah. Do one of those for me, and then when you're finished, I'll go, this message was approved by me.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go then. When I was just a little lad growing up in the south of France, all I wanted to do was look at pictures of nude pictures of children my own age. Being a child porn is illegal, though. I wasn't allowed to do that.
No, I'm pulling the plug. No, that one's not happening. Oh, God. Well, once again, we end the podcast on such a horrid note, it makes me want to be sick. So if you enjoy things that make you want to be sick, make sure you go and listen to the rest of the podcast.